So today, I want to talk about how to change the world. And this is basically the theme of my life since childhood. It's something that I think a lot of children have is almost like a dissatisfaction as they see different problems in the world. There's this novice energy, like I want to change the world, like I want to do something great, or and I am absolutely still a child, and I told myself that I will not forget who I was from that time, and so that's why I'm here today. And I feel that that kind of phrase, change the world, what it really stems from is this dissatisfaction of seeing things in the world that aren't working well for either people or other living things on the planet, also known as a general term as like our environment, the different animals and plants, and essentially I feel like that's where a lot of um, anyone's frustration could be, um, in terms of, aside from being dissatisfied with their own situation. It would, if there's an overarching dissatisfaction with just how everyone is struggling, and and um, and how our environment is also being taken advantage of, and a lot of the organisms on this earth are struggling because of us, because of what humans are doing to these other organisms. So I've been contemplating this, in a lot of ways, and I really feel that every single person is making their change to the world, and every kind of profession and engagement is what makes the world what it is, and it is the accumulation of our existence together is what is the state of the world. And so when I ask myself today how to change the world, what I think about is how can we enable ourselves as people to become the best of ourselves. And I've basically been trying to break down what enables us to be ourselves, what enables us to come to a point of internal fulfillment. And there's basic needs that we all need and have, and it really starts there. It starts with our basic needs, and essentially where I want to put my focus on changing the world and my role is trying to create a system, or I'll explain it this way. Basically, we have all these different problems happening, and there's a lot of people that work to problem solve for those things. And really, problem solving is the key here, is we problem solve. Now, there's what I like to think of as patchwork, and what I like to think of as like fundamental redesign, like almost like going back to the drawing board. And I'm very much of a go back to the drawing board kind of person, and kind of go to the roots of the fundamental purpose that we are trying to fulfill. And in effect, almost do like an audit of like, are we doing it as good as we could be? Whereas the patchwork is like, hey, we have a problem right now. We have people that need help right now, and these are things that we can do. I think both are incredibly important, essentially managing and maintaining our stability at its core, while at the same time working on creating systems that prevent some of these issues from even existing in the first place. And I found that through a lot of my reflection that there are a lot of issues that we deal with that could potentially not even need to exist, just based on a lot of it is related to the infrastructure and design principles of our communities, our cities, and our lifestyles. And so that those are two key things about how our that I'm going to focus on here as I continue to talk about these topics. So when we talk about basic needs and we want to fulfill the basic needs, I ask myself, I mean, they're very clear, like the food, the water, shelter, sleep. So I very much, there's a big theme of it, and it's really health. Health, to me, is really the starting point of everything in good design. Is it enabling us to be healthy? Is this and that and I feel like there are physical and fundamental truths to health. There's also a lot of gray area in health and what is healthy and what is not healthy. But I would like to kind of go on a whim of what we can kind of say like is generally like pretty clear. And I think we can gain a lot of wisdom from just our ancestry and just how we evolved as human beings, because we needed to at least be healthy enough to reproduce at one point against very massive challenges in just knowing how to survive and dealing with elements constantly. And so health and how we access health is going to be really the fundamental principle and value that's going to dictate how we move forward in our designs and our systems. Because reaching to those higher levels of ourselves and our own creativity, it ultimately will not be enjoyed if we're not healthy, and we won't reach that deeper part within ourselves if we're not healthy. And if those things are not helping us achieve health, a higher state of health, then what are we really doing? I don't know. Um, so health really, there's a few things that I think are important when we think about health. And I want to start on the physical ones first, which are related to our food and how our food is produced, and how we have access to food, how food is prepared, or how we access it, how we prepare it to be ingested, and how the same for water, our water, and then movement. Those are the three main ones. Later on, there's going to be also like shelter, which is related to our architecture, but also our own clothing, basically things that protect us from elements. And these are the main ideas. And when we're talking about health and the how to achieve these things, we also really want to emphasize and keep in mind the sustainability. And the sustainability is a really key word that can often be overused. But essentially, we need to just ask ourselves, okay, how can we make sure that this keeps on happening? And we need to ask ourselves, really, for how long? And that how long is really, for me, an important one, because I think that things can work really well for even for several years or even an entire lifetime. But I'm just gonna tell you guys from right now that I personally think it's really important to create a time scale that is generational, that the work and systems and investments that we're making are really beyond ourselves, because this is about our collective existence, and we are not here on this physical earth here that we know for very long, let's say, relatively speaking. And so but there's going to be other consciousnesses beyond us, and my goal is to, of course, affect and achieve a higher consciousness within my own lifetime, but I want that to continue to rise beyond myself, beyond this life that I know, to the next generations. I think that's really important key principle, so that our goal of achieving a great life and a better life continues, and our next generation is always building on a stronger platform than what we started on. And because that is ultimately going to keep the trajectory moving forward. That's really important to me. So with that kind of principle and value in mind, it really brings clarity of what 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 things are working and what doesn't work. So I think tomorrow we're gonna go deeper in the food side of things and talk about how our food system works, and how it's worked historically and how it's changed, where we're gonna go for the future to ensure that everyone, or that we build systems that give access to food that is feeding our bodies in a way that makes us healthy and is very sustainable for generations to come. Yeah, so that's gonna be next, and we'll just keep going through the different topics from there. Thanks.